Great. So, okay. Next one. Can I advance this? Am I going to be able to work this tech? Is it on? Oh, okay, sorry. All right, so we've got Helen McBreen from from Atlantic Bridge, proud Galwegian also,
Right.
and Murdad. Murdad, I never pronounce your name correctly. Tell me your surname.
It's Pirozram, yeah.
Piozram.
Just call me
now I
Mel,
have
it's
it.
enough.
I know, we all know you now, so we do. So I'll start with Murdad just to let Helen catch her breath. I was like, come on, we're on. So Murdad, we met at Exec FinTech in Frankfurt, and you're based in Cologne after spending quite a bit of time in Silicon Valley and that. Tell much more interesting hearing from you. Tell us a little bit about your path into angel investing and business in general.
Okay, I'm originally a software developer. I started back 25 years ago with a German retailer. I don't know if you know it. The company is called Kaufhof, pretty much like Marks and Spencer in the UK. Did some tech on the enterprise side and decided to start my own company 20 years ago during the first internet wave, and pivoted the products we had in the company and created a software company out of that with AXA Group together. Brought the company public, sold part of the shares, and then started being angel investor 13 years ago. Yeah. And did a lot of mobile stuff since 2007 and focusing into insurtech startups in the last few years.
InsurTech to me was quite new until that Exec FinTech conference, and it's quite a huge vertical now, and Germany seems to be leading the way there. Is that fair?
When it comes to the vertical view of the market development in the future, we believe that InsurTech is going to be one of the biggest verticals in terms of innovation, potential, and investment in the next 3 years. Yes.
There's a lot of pilots happening, some investments happening, much in just for us who look to go into new areas. It's not something that we would look at traditionally here. There's some interesting stuff happening in London with Rob Moffat and Balderton is doing stuff. But where are the hotspots for it globally?
Okay. First of all, we have to say that the market stage, innovation stage, is still at the beginning. We are pretty much there where FinTech has been 3 years ago. So the amount of the startups you can follow is still small, but we expect an acceleration of new startups coming in the next few years. And right now, there's a small battle already starting to brand special regions to be some kind of hubs for insurtech companies. London is doing a really good job in terms of branding, but I'm a little bit skeptical in terms of execution because the prices are high and the talents have lots of other topics going on like fintech. And the second spot looks or seems to be Munich, because Munich is spending a lot of money to create another startup hub, and because of Munich Re and Allianz, two major insurance players globally, they have good chances to play a role there as well. And historically, Cologne was the biggest insurance city in Germany back 20 years ago. And there are also some movements and some interest to create some kind of hub for insurtech in Cologne as well. Yeah. And of course, US, yeah.
Interesting stuff. Helen, tell us a little about, for those who don't know about Atlantic Bridge, and it's been quite successful over the last while, and how you got into that.
Sure. So thanks for having me on the panel today. So Atlantic Bridge, for those that don't know, we're an Irish venture firm. We have been in existence for about 10 or 12 years now. The firm was founded by successful entrepreneurs in their own right who were coming from very strong technical backgrounds, predominantly the semiconductor space, having built out of Ireland. very large companies and took them to global markets successfully. So there's been, I suppose the partners would say that they're entrepreneurs with capital, and they have used their success to recreate that success in the companies we've invested in over that period of time. So we've 4 funds under management, which gives us a total of about €400 million across the 4 funds. And we've about 20 odd companies in the portfolio. Generally, some of the original companies would have come from that semiconductor space, software. More recently, we have companies in the AR space. Mataio was a company that exited last year to Apple as an AR company. We also have a number 2 drones company, 3D Robotics. Movidius is another Irish company. Computer visioning chip company. So they're the kind of the types of companies that Atlantic Bridge would have been very heavily involved in building and scaling. The words Atlantic Bridge, the premise for the fund originally was to invest locally and to bridge companies into the United States. The model, I suppose, is a proven model. It's a differentiated one in which the team provide access to not just the capital and the financing, but using their experience of building companies to scale companies globally into big markets. So to do that, you need a very, very strong network. You need a network in the right types of companies. You need a senior network, which we have, but also access to co-investment. So we co-invest strongly with local venture firms, but also quite significantly with corporate venture arms, Qualcomm, Samsung, Intel. We've invested several times alongside corporate VCs and also alongside other institutional VCs. So to do that, it means that we have presence obviously in Ireland, but also in London and California. And one of our funds is called the China-Ireland Technology Growth Fund, or the China Fund is its shorter name. And that is to grow companies from Ireland and to invest in them to allow them to scale into Chinese markets or related markets in Asia. So that's a €100 million fund. And again, it's for later stage kind of growth companies who have a lot of who have significant revenues to date, but what it showed was that when we launched the China Fund, was that the model that we apply, this differentiated approach, what we call the bridge model, it doesn't just stop at bridging companies from Ireland to the United States, but also from Ireland into other European countries or into the Middle East. So so I joined the firm last year only, which has been a very long year, but a very exciting year.
Sounds great, and you're seeing here in Galway some good options and meetings and deal flow for you as well that you can get involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot of deal flow. I don't just come to Galway for the prom and to see my family, which is always a bonus coming to Galway, but I come to Galway a lot to meet a lot of the entrepreneurs here that are developing and beginning to start their journeys as entrepreneurs. We're very interested in them. We're only 2 hours up the road. We're here frequently. We will come down and entrepreneurs come and see us. We're pretty agnostic about where companies are, to be honest with you, Dave. This was a point earlier on about Dublin versus Galway. Mm-hmm. We're agnostic about where companies are. We will invest in the best entrepreneurs with the best ideas. We don't really mind where those companies are. What we do care about is companies are close to their customers, where that makes most sense. So when we scale companies, we tend to encourage that they're located close to their customer base, or at least the sales engine is close to their customer base. A lot of our companies have very strong R&D facilities here in Ireland, which makes sense because of the talent pool. But in general, as long as customers are put front and center, we'll invest.
That's great. And opportunities, what do you see for us now here in Galway? Maybe Murdad, you had to. What I love spending time with you is you get right to the point pretty quick with someone's business, which is great, and you've had quite a few conversations already with different people. What's your sense in terms of opportunities for us here?
First of all, I have to say I was pretty much surprised to see how much medtech you have. I don't know that business at all, but it's really, really impressive what you guys have did in the past. In terms of entrepreneurs, I have a general question since I'm here in Ireland. If the mentality is a scale-up mentality or a startup mentality, and I spoke with first-time founders at the beginning and had the impression that they don't get the respect they deserve at the stage they are, and the attention is much more to the bigger companies which are already branded and coming over from the US, and have already created some kind of heroes, And for me personally, the people who start from the nothing are the bigger heroes, and the people who manage the existing infrastructures. And that was my first impression, but I had only 3 or 4 talks, And the second impression, which was really interesting, it's the same experience I make in any city when I come to Tel Aviv, when I go to London, when I go to US. The people have lack of tech co-founders. The people that have lack of tech people, So we have a massive shift of technology in the last few years, And we missed in the most regions to prepare for the new technologies, the right people to be able to scale. Example for that are iPhone developers, good mobile designers, or user acquisition discussions we had on the mobile side yesterday. Data science going to be a really, really important battle, and that was the second impression I had. I spoke with 3 founders. They all had the problem to find technical co-founder, which I didn't expect in Ireland, because the image of Ireland is to get good people. The good people seem to be in Google or Facebook. And the third point, which was really surprising for me, is I think it's really, really impressive to see that you're already ahead in terms of data science, and they're going to be good options. And if I would be Galway or I would be Ireland, I would ask myself the question, if you want to create startups in that environment, or going to be scale up for other companies again.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking of us?
Yeah, some of the opportunities we were chatting about this over lunch, where we're seeing some very interesting opportunities emerge or begin to emerge, is this crossover technologies, where you have, researchers, say data scientists researching and collaborating with the biologists or the microbiologists, and all of a sudden the compute power and the tools and the AI tools and machine learning tools that the computer scientists know, being applying those to very large biology sets, creates these kind of new wave of companies that are still, they're at their core, they're software-centric businesses. So by their definition, then they are, I suppose, a fit or of interest to firms like Atlantic Bridge that are tech firms or software firms. So I think there's huge possibilities there. So even though Galway does have a very successful med tech cluster and a huge amount of talent there, this kind of blending with computer scientists, coming out of Insight and the other data centers and the research centers there's strong possibilities there to find those next big companies. So that's where we're seeing a lot of that through the activities within the research centers across the country.
So with the data science and you being opened up to seeing there's actually some pretty good stuff going on here, but maybe not the lack of a bit of lack of technical co-founders. You're both looking for kind of earlier stage companies, looking for startups and that, but the fear, Mehrdad, is that you're not sure that they have is it the ambition or the team to be able to scale up, or what's the fear there?
I would say the first 3 founders I talked to right at the beginning, they are facing the toughest environment I've seen in the European city, to be honest with you, because the amounts of money they are discussing are pretty much small. We talked about 30,000 in one case, 50,000 in another case, and at the same time, the level of competing in execution to establish companies seemed to be really high. That was my impression at the really beginning of the story, really seed side.
I've observed a lot of teams coming out of the big tech companies, the Googles, LinkedIn, and that are that are present in Twitter, that are Facebook, I should say, that are present in Dublin. So a lot of teams are kind of spinning out of these environments. So there are there is technical talent there. I do agree, and I have seen it at the very earlier stage where, trying to find a team or assemble a team is a challenge. But, we heard about what Neve and a lot of the activities that Neve is doing in Dublin, and there's a lot of that happening here. It's very vibrant too, to create environments where people can actually meet. We track companies from the very earliest stages. It's never too early to really talk to Atlantic Bridge. It might be too early for us to invest, but it's important for us to try to track companies. In some cases, we've tracked companies for years, right? But we've helped them along the way in other ways other than capital investment at that point, to try to get them to de-risk, or to think about how to de-risk, or to assemble a team, or to make introductions and so on. So we do that a lot because we see that there's something there, but there's just for whatever fund that we might invest out of, it may not be the right fit at that stage. So using, I suppose, the network capability, and again, that network isn't just a Galway network or a Dublin network. We're a small island, right? There's a lot going on. I would really caution against siloing. I think local activity and community activity is really important, but a caution against siloing, and that applies to people in Dublin as well, right?
That's amazing. Open it up. Anybody want to ask a question at any stage? Just let me know. We'll run up. Yeah. Cool.
I guess I was just wondering, what are the steps that you would say you would have had to go through before you would? Let's say you have a good idea and you are completely siloed. What steps would you expect someone to have taken? Be it a software company, or at what point would you want to talk to them?
So we want to talk to them. Personally, I don't have an issue talking to anybody at any point, to be honest with you. This business is very much a people business. Yes, it's about capital. I was talking to Patrick about this. It's very much a people business. So the issue is time, okay, and the number of companies that an investor gets to see, weekly, monthly. I mean, it's in the orders of hundreds. And then you've got an issue of, how do I stand out from that crowd, okay? So in a very short space of time, you might get the attention of somebody, but you've got to say something quite compelling to them. So you can understand if they're interested and that they won't dismiss something too soon. And hopefully smart investors try not to do that, right? But understanding, I suppose, this is the challenge for entrepreneurs, is understanding what they're hearing from investors, okay? So it's not a case of, if I do X, Y, and Z, well then, and if I do this, that, and the other, and then, it's more about what people are trying to do in a relationship, or in a conversation like that, is to build a relationship, okay? They're trying to understand, if you have the capability, if you don't have a plan, if you have the capability or the thought process to come up with the plan, so spending that time, and if you're saying that you're going to do something, coming back with those updates to say that has been achieved, and to show and to bring the investor along your journey with you, and to try to stand out from that. So not this kind of, vomiting features of a new product or whatever, but something kind of meaningful when it comes to, proving that the pain point that you're solving for customers really, really does exist, So I keep the dialogue open. I don't know if you have a different approach.
Michelle.
It's late on a Friday evening, so I thought I'd liven things up a little bit with a bit of controversy. It's really fantastic to see an investor panel in front of us that's so diverse. I was at an all-female conference last year in Dublin, and it was great. A great debate started about investment being one of the final kind of frontiers where they haven't managed to break through in the diversity stats at all. They're single-digit numbers, and they're shocking, really, And then, so they would say that the vast majority of the investors are white guys that have come out of Harvard, and they only invest in people that look like themselves. So it's quite heartening to see how diverse the investor group in front of us are today. And I suppose I just thought I'd open it up to you to say, what's your opinion on that? Do you see it changing? within your circles? Do people talk about it? Is it something they're trying to address?
Yeah, I can jump in with it because it's a topic that I've spoken about, I've blogged about. It's an important topic for me as a woman. It's an important topic as an investor, but it's more important for the companies and the entrepreneurs that we meet and we invest, that they can, I suppose, identify with the set of investors that are sitting around the table with them. My own perspective of it is, from Atlantic Bridge, a third of our investment team are women. This is, I think Ireland can really lead on this. We have some fantastic female investors in our VC firms. Many of whom you will know. Dave, you've had many at panels before, right? So I think Ireland, compared to the pretty dismal stats, is doing very well. That's not an excuse to say that this is not an issue. It is. There's this kind of line: if you can't see it, you can't be it. One of our general partners, Elaine Coughlin, is somebody that is a fantastic colleague. She's a great inspiration. She's very supportive, but equally the male partners in the firm are that to me as well. All right. So again, it's going back to the other point about this being a people environment, right? And understanding that that there's really no exceptions when it comes to investment. And yes, there's been umpteen studies about unconscious bias and so on. And that's not just narrowed to the venture community. Entrepreneurs have to do their homework, about the types of investors that they want around them as well, and the types of investors that they want to partner with, and not just investors who will write checks. So, regardless of gender or whatever, or diversity, it's trying to find those people that you can work with. But it's a very it's a pertinent topic. I'm glad you raised it, Michelle. I think it's one that I actually would prefer more guys to be involved in this conversation. I only ever get this question from women, and the question is normally only asked, of women as well. So I'm on a number of different panels when it comes to gender diversity, and I'm continuously trying to encourage more guys who are on boards or more guys in management positions to speak up about diversity, because it's normally the women that talk about it. From what I've observed, there are exceptions to that, so we need more. Yeah. Yeah.
We tried. Yeah, we tried in London and here to get a 50-50. We took this 50-50 pledge, and we almost got a total balance in London, which was like in Canary Wharf, not done. But yeah, I think it's an important thing to put it out there, and we need role models to be on stage talking about it for sure, and to make it say that it can actually be done. But I mean, there's a lot of big structural problems going on in terms of, we saw Mary Carty earlier can't even get a house, here in Galway. There's a lot of things, but I think in the end it comes down to the people. As like, if you chat to Murdad or that, you realise that, geez, you know what, he tries to help people first, sees how they go with that, and then take it from there. And it is unfortunate that there's not more diversity there, but you can still find really good people, and if you're passionate about it and want to do it, you'll make it, and you'll find the money, whether you're in Tune or whether you're in Berlin or anywhere else. I think if you make an effort and try and connect with people, you probably do okay. I don't know, that's my thought.
Yeah. When you start as a company, the question is, there are different concepts. Are you going to bet on a company in terms of investors or angels? My personal favorite is team, timing, and then the business case, And when we are talking about diversity in teams, I don't believe in quota, It doesn't make sense to say we need to have a girl in the team to make the quota happen and to be nice. For me, diversity is much more than only having girls in the team, And you need to be open totally. You need to have a combining team which is executing. And it's all about scoring at the beginning, You need to have people to be obsessed to make to score, and that's what's it about in my view. We have made experience with founding teams where we have really good gay guys executing like hell, We are really impressed about that. And the other way, we have a founder, Ronnie Eschel. She's a former surf champion from Israel, and she's a single founder, and she executed also like hell. Really, really impressive what she did. And for me, the first priority is to have a good setup. And once you are up and running, diversity is a necessity because you are competing globally against hubs like Silicon Valley, Berlin, or London, and these are really, really mixed cities. Yeah.
Just to clarify, like it's not something that I've bumped up against significantly myself, and it was just more just to cause a bit of controversy and whatever. I absolutely agree. If somebody's brilliant at what they do, it doesn't matter what their background is. But the reason I brought it up is I was just curious in the background in the investor circles and behind, within your own networks and the, when you chat yourselves, what's the general feel on the ground or what initiatives are underway?
Like here in Ireland, it hasn't been something that I've seen as a problem, to be honest with you. Honestly,
it's more Silicon Valley. You hear an awful lot of this coming out of. Like you hear like so much press on this happening. A lot of it was last year. There was a lot of heat around it. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Murdad, on the last one, just to finish that before we go to Phil? In Silicon Valley,
I would give a question back to you. What do you think? What's the reason why women don't like to do deep tech business? So programmers. How come that women don't like doing deep tech business?
Deep technical? Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to answer that question because I'm a computer scientist. So I'm the exception to the rule. And I do love doing deep technical work. It's been my career, so it's probably an exception. But if you were to say in the general case, it's multifaceted. It's cultural. It's like, it's our willingness to take on risk. There's so many. A lot of it's cultural and comes from quite a young age and whatever. But and it's so multifaceted as well that you could be here all evening talking about it. But yeah, I appreciate your question. Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just add to that? So that's a brilliant question, and that's the question that we really need to study further. When I was in psychology, before I came into tech and all kinds of other things since medtech and all the rest of it, I did a lot of psychology. I have a degree in psychology. One of the studies in psychology was basically who likes to do tech, who likes to do the programming. It was predominantly the guys, and they were broken. The study broke it up into 3 groups. The women fell into a group where they wanted to use computers and tech products purely for functional use. So if it was useful for our daily tasks, just like selling your phone or giving back your phone, absolutely no problem as long as it's quick, handy, and functional. We have too much to do. We want to get on and do it. Whereas the guys, there was the gaming cohort, and then there was the other programmer. I can't remember the category title it was called, but it was the real programmer. It was someone who's trying to break through to the hacker, that kind of personality. So there were the 3 groups, and the guys were predominantly in the last 2. The girls wouldn't spend time. They considered it a waste of time to play on the computer, and then the tech skills went from there. So I think if we can show more functional computing, I think the girls will jump.
Well, maybe on a lighter note, because I programmed for years, and yeah, one of my jobs was I programmed for a company in Japan for a year or so, and I was programming software for fashion designers, which, mark my words, was very, very useful.
Oh, you're right. I think we're going to see quite a bit of changes, like from the STEMettes work that we heard of earlier and the way things are. I think we're going to see a lot more diversity in terms of who's doing that particular things, those particular things. So I think there's some a wave has started, I think, and with Coder Dojo, with the STEMettes, with the Outbox incubator and things like that. I think we should see more action in terms of real work being done by a diverse group. So listen, thank you so much for taking the time to come here from Germany, from Dublin, and for supporting this and coming and sharing and talking to people and being really, really nice people to talk to. So definitely super approachable. Go and chat and get their thoughts, because really valuable insights can come in just a few minutes from these guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.